This lesson is part 2 of my lesson on distributive property and combining like terms. So in part 1, everything was positive values. There was no subtraction and no negative values. So that's more basic than this. So you really should start with part 1. I'll try to give a link to it in the upper right-hand corner, and then come and do part 2. So if you've already done part 1, welcome back. So the steps are the same as in part 1. We're going to do the distributive property first, then we're going to combine like terms. So let's look at some examples here. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So I have distributive property here. I'm going to multiply 3 times C and 3 times 2. And the 5C I'm just going to bring down. So 3 times C is 3C, 3 times 2 is 6, and it's minus because I had a positive 3 and a minus 2 here, so that makes that. So remember these things. If you have these two symbols coming together, it makes this, and these two symbols coming together make this. It's very similar to the multiplication rules, same sign, positive, different signs, negative. If I talk too fast, remember you could just back it up and watch it again, and you can watch it again after that if you want. So that's the nice thing about the videos. So let's look at number 2. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish number 1. Too fast for even myself. So this is distributive property and like terms. So we did the distributive property, but I forgot the combining like terms. So 5C and 3C have like factors here. And so we're going to add those together. 5C plus 3C is 8C. Bring down the minus 6. And there's my final answer. And again, this is mathematically equivalent to this. So what we're really doing is taking this original expression and simplifying it down to 8C minus 6. Now I'll move on to number 2. Sorry about that. So in number 2, I'm distributing this here, but you have to be careful here. If you look back at my previous lessons on combining like terms, this symbol belongs to this 2. So when I distribute here, what I'm really doing is distributing a negative 2 into here, because this symbol belongs to the 2. So I bring down the 4x. I'll go ahead and bring down the plus 4 here at the end. So 2x and 3x is 6x. That's a negative or a minus and a positive 3x. So that's going to make this. And then 2 times 5 is 10. And here I have a minus and a minus coming together. And those two symbols, remember these two, when they come together, make a plus. So that's why that's plus 10. Okay, so I distributed a negative 2. Now I'm going to combine like terms. This just happens to have them all next to each other, which is kind of nice. So these are like terms, and these are like terms. 4x minus 6x is negative 2x. 10 plus 4 is 14, and that's positive 14, so that makes that plus 14 here. So again, this, our answer in the box, is mathematically equivalent to what we started with. Again, if I went too fast, back it up. All right, I got 2 more for you. That a lot of times confuses students. You have a negative sign here that's being distributed in. That's actually how I like to think of it. I like to think of just bringing this negative sign into these. And again, keeping in mind if I bring a negative into a minus or a negative into a negative, that makes a plus. And if I bring 2 opposite symbols in together, it makes a minus. The other way you can think about this is really there's a 1 here that's not written. So you're really distributing negative 1 in here. So if you want to multiply these by negative 1, that will work too. So negative 1 and positive 12x is going to make negative 12x. And then the negative with the plus is going to make minus. That's this thing here, 13. So basically all I did was take this negative sign and distribute it into here. Then I bring down the plus 20. I have like terms here. Now I have negative 12x. This is negative 13. Remember that symbol belongs with the 13. Negative 13 plus 20 is positive 7. That's where the plus sign came from. Is the fact that that's a positive 7. So if that came out to -7, this will be a minus sign here. All right, one last one here. Again, distributing here is this -5. And I know students want to say, that's not a negative sign, that's a minus sign. Well, really, there's not a difference between a negative sign and a minus sign. They really mean the same thing. And it's interesting, I just spent the weekend with my father who's in his 80s, and when he was in school, they didn't even teach negative numbers. There was no such thing. Everything was just addition and subtraction. So negative, minus, it's really the same thing. So I'm going to distribute a -5 in here. I'll bring everything else down. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll bring all this other stuff, all these other terms down. So a -5 times a positive 2x, negative and a positive, like a negative. And then here I have a negative or a minus and another minus. Those two together make a plus. All right. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I have x's, y's, and numbers. So if you look back on my lesson on comparing like terms, you should combine the variables together first, and you should do whatever comes first in the alphabet first. So x's and y's, x comes before y. So I'm going to put x's together first. And in that lesson, I teach you to put a box around it so that you also include the symbol that's in front of it, because this minus sign comes with the 10x. So I pull this piece out, that gives me this. I'm going to go pull out the y's. So for the y's, I have a plus 20y and a minus 2y. Okay, so all these symbols that you see are coming from the original problem. I'm not adding anything extra in here. And then let's pull out the numbers. The numbers always come out last. So that's a -6 plus 2. And you say, no, that's -6. Yeah, minus, negative, same thing. Again, all these symbols you see came from the original problem. I didn't add anything extra here. So I'm going to do 3x minus 10x. That's -7x. 20 minus 2y, that's 18y. And that's a positive 18y. I'm going to put the symbol there. You'll see why in a second. -6 plus 2, that's -4. All right. And now I'm just going to squeeze all of this together. What I end up with is -7x plus 18y minus 4. And that is my answer. So I distributed, and I combined like terms. Variables come first in alphabetical order, then numbers. So listen, I hope you found this useful and helpful to you. If not, I'm sorry. I tried my best, but there's other videos out there that probably teach it in a different way. You should check those out. But if you did find this helpful, then please give it a like and a subscribe. And until next time.